All right. Welcome to High Level Games Presents Star Trek Adventures, Episode 5.
All right.
Welcome to entitled Black Sheep. Last episode ended on a little bit of a down note with, let me see, just tally this. A quarter of the saucer section destroyed. As many breaches as the structure of the Bonaventure can take and not actually blow up happened. David was injured. Falk was killed. Ithrasi was killed. So adorable. In my early notes, I marked down that 3 security officers were injured in the firefight until you started rolling complications. Things escalated from there. 113 crew members on the Bonaventure were killed, and 147 were injured. This marks that as one of the most bloody encounters in peacetime for the Federation in many, many. So that is exciting. Why don't we introduce ourselves? My name is VP Quinn, and I will be your game master.
Oh, just introductions. No questions. I'm Vanessa. I play Dr. Bassa Idem.
Hi, everyone. I'm Michael, and I'm playing the captain, Celis Argel.
Hello, I'm Jake. I'm playing First Officer Commander Curid Hex.
Hello, I'm Tim. I'm playing Lieutenant Commander Marcus Barton.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So since we had gone through quite a major series of events up to the end of season or of episode 4, we are going to do an Art Milestone today and some reputation stuff, which is exciting. The first thing that needs to be done is a quick recap. Of course, the end of last episode, you found out that the captain had been ordered by Vice Admiral Joshua Heath to go to Caesara's wedding and act as her judalar. What you eventually found out is that she had poisoned the family of her groom, Thaven, and while that kicked off a civil war, you protected her and really protected the entire Ozarkzo family throughout the night. During this time, there was a massive explosion as some kind of explosive device was planted and blew up the docking port that the Bonaventure was set up with and caused all of that damage while you were trapped inside, unable to contact anybody. Since then, you have discovered that Caesara orchestrated this entire thing, and her and Thaven continued with their marriage, and you were critical in her rise to power now over both Orion Syndicate crime families in this sector, which leaves her as the dominant power in the sector, which she could not have done without your help. You are very helpful. There were a couple of items that came up throughout that, a cultural artifact that's important to Beta Z, as well as a partially corrupted schematic of a quantum torpedo that was given as a gift during the wedding ceremony, both of which are probably important things to pass up to your superior. The Castoria defensive ships were scrambled to go and pick you up, provide aid, and tow the Bonaventure back to Castoria. You were met by the Miranda class. Louis Riel, who has a, I think, search and rescue profile, and so provided as much medical aid as possible during this process. And since that time, you have spent the last several weeks rebuilding the Bonaventure. Now, there was a tense meeting between the captain and Admiral Heath, Vice Admiral Heath, where he did suggest that the Bonaventure be scuttled. And Captain Celis impressed upon him the importance of the mission continuing, and provided him with the work detail and plan that David Humphreys had put together for the ship. He allowed that plan to go forward, and in a miraculous 6 weeks, the Bonaventure is up and running. You are low on crew, however. You're operating without replacements. Some crew have been pulled off of missions at the Castorian Federation Embassy, and a couple of critical personnel have been pulled off of the Louis Riel, who since took off to go to Narendra Station to get a refit to endure some of the travails of the Shackleton Expanse, should they be needed there. The Bonaventure, however, for the duration of this episode, will be considered to having 2 structural breaches. Okay? Further, Ithrasi and Fok are dead. They are not able to replace those characters yet. So likely Xandra Thorsdottir has stepped up as acting security chief and tactical. And Fok, there's probably been a few acting replacements going in for Fok as well. Obviously, you have sent out a request for replacement crew, and that request has been backed by Vice Admiral Heath, but that will take some time for them to get here. In the meantime, you're a little under-personneled. First thing I want to do is I want to talk really quickly about what your characters are feeling. You've had 6 weeks to reflect on the successful mission that you were just on. You came very close to having the Bonaventure scuttled, which would have ended with a mandatory court-martial for Captain Argel. Every Starfleet vessel that is lost under a captain's command triggers a court-martial, as we saw in The Next Generation, that Picard had to go through one when he lost a ship under his command. But that didn't happen, and Old Bonnie is being rebuilt to fight another day. What are some thoughts? What are some actions? Are there any things that your character... Has this changed your characters in any way? What's going on?
I think in some ways it's made Dr. Bassa more Dr. Bassa. I mean, it's not helping her feeling like there's something wrong and danger around every corner and that feeling. But she also used to have like a huge appreciation for other cultures and like a want to learn about them and just, accept them and know that we're different. And She's really different, saying there might be like some kind of hierarchy of
Some
like,
cultures might be better than others.
maybe.
Is what she's thinking
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah. Which is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, you saw some barbarism and what people of the Federation probably would say constitutes evil. I
Yeah.
should probably let you know as well that 4 weeks into the repair program, David Humphreys just collapsed. He had not submitted to a medical exam during this whole time, and he had been working around the clock. When he collapsed, it was found that he had a fractured skull. And he has been ordered off duty, and he will remain off duty for the duration of this episode.
Whee! No David! Yay!
Holy.
Anybody else?
Well,
The-
go ahead, Captain. You outranked me.
The captain feels responsible for what happened because ultimately he is, and is thinking about ways in which the situation could have played out, but without the loss of life, and is somewhat is self-critical in thinking that such an arrangement with Orion pirates could have somehow worked out better. He's feeling naive and that he needed to have done better and that he really failed those 100-some crew that died.
113.
113.
I totally can empathize with the captain's position. I mean, he went into this knowing it was almost certainly a trap. That doesn't make it better. And I think this is a moment for the captain in a lot of ways. In the sense, this is his first command. It almost ended with disaster on this mission. Now, the thing that a commander like him has to grapple with is that not only did he lose members of his senior staff, not only did he lose 113 members of his crew, not only did he almost lose his ship and get court-martialed, but he has to walk away not just with the survivor's guilt, but with the fact that the mission was successful. It's almost like getting a medal for doing something that you kind of really feel guilty about.
Getting a medal for something you felt like you did badly and that you'll be haunted by.
So Kieran has a lot of anger from this encounter. He does not view the mission as a success despite what the Admiral may view of it. There's a lot of anger at the Admiral, some at the captain, but mostly at himself. He was in the best position to be able to detect the duplicity in Caesara as he was closest to her, given the situation. But his ignorance of what was actually going on, the reasons for being there, as well as his blindness based on his preconceived notions of her. Just a lot of anger and at the entire situation. And I think it's going to make him challenge one of his values. Instead of peace through understanding, it's now peace through understanding, but not with the Orions. But we can deal with that at a later time.
Yeah, I definitely think that one of the more interesting things about this situation has been the relationship between the first officer and the captain. On one hand, when the crew was first put together, we saw a very risk-adverse, very consensus-driven leadership style coming from the captain. We've since definitely learned that there is steel there, but he surrounded himself by people who, on paper, are risk takers, right? And then this developing relationship between his first officer has not always gone smoothly. Yeah,
No.
and I mean, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, and it might be in line with why the captain specifically asked for Kirid as his first officer. Sometimes in command, you run the risk of putting too many people that think like you do around you, and that's definitely not the case here. But there seems to be a little more right now. There is a portion I'm sensing, and correct me if I'm wrong, that Kirid blames some of these deaths on the captain.
Less than he blames it on the admiral and himself, but there definitely is anger at the captain for not, and like it's understandable given what happened between Kirid and Cesara that the captain didn't let him know why we were there. But if he had known that, he thinks that maybe
Which
things
might
could have
be,
been different.
he might be deluding himself. Yeah.
Exactly. And he likely is, but he is beyond distraught at the situation.
Marcus, there is a great deal of pain at I mean, it's going to sound weird, but a deal of pain at the fact that Xandra is the one now standing behind the security console and not Ithrasi. At one point, he was very interested in Ithrasi. And he knows that Xandra is going to do a great job. And in many ways, he thinks, well, she should probably keep the job. But it's also there's just this great pain and he attributes it all just he's got it's grown into just this seething hatred of the Orions, almost to a blood feud type level, where now he knew or the Orions couldn't be trusted. Now he's coming to the conclusion that just kill them. They you cannot reason with them. There's always something else that they want. They're worse than Ferengi. And there's no end to the depths that they'll go to get what they want. And part of that and there's also a sense of resentment towards the captain. That hasn't been, he wasn't all that open with the staff before the mission. Like Kirid, maybe he feels like if we had known the whole deal beforehand, maybe we could have figured out some protocol, some action that would have kept the Bonaventure safe.
Yeah, and I think that it's interesting. Because is there a echo? Hey, it stopped just now.
Yep, you're echoing. Yeah.
Somebody's speakers was
Weird.
on, I think. I think it's interesting because those are not very Federation-y kind of thoughts to have, right? And so that probably comes with a little bit of internal turmoil, right? In the sense that at the core, the Federation greatest hope for its relationship with the Orions is that the Orions would one day join, right? And be a part of this great united federation of planets. But right now, Marcus is seeing them as inhuman, as monsters, as animals, right? And, subhuman, if you will. And it's it's an interesting consequence of the actions that you've taken and gone through, that being in even conflict with people like this doesn't make you, sometimes it doesn't make you a better person. Sometimes it drags you down to their, and that can't be a good feeling. That's very interesting stuff, folks. I really, really appreciate your insights into your character's state of mind right now. So what I'd like to do next is I'd like to go through an arc milestone with everybody. So if you want to follow along, it's on page 140 of the core rule book. And an arc milestone, it grants all the benefits of a spotlight milestone, which also grants the benefits of a normal milestone, and allows the character to select an option from the following list. So let's first go to spotlight milestone. Let's see. Or not a spotlight. Yeah, spotlight milestone. I think that reads to me that you get one of each.
I think Spotlight includes everything from a normal milestone. So what I read is you get a Spotlight milestone, and then you get to choose one of the additional
Yeah, I
arc
think
milestone
you're right.
bonuses. Mm-hmm.
No, with the Spotlight milestone, a main character receives a single choice from the normal milestone list and a single choice from the following list as well. And the arc milestone is it. So I think you get one of each of these three. Right? So this is as big a level up as you can get in this game. So let's start with normal milestones. Who wants to go first?
What page are we
Page
looking on?
139 and 140. Who wants to go first? Great.
Captain will.
Great.
Let's go by rank.
Yeah.
The captain is making his way to page
Okay.
139, 140.
So you can do one of the following. Choose 2 disciplines, reduce one of the disciplines by 1 to a minimum of 1, increase the other by 1 to a maximum of 4. Choose one of the character's focuses and replace it for another focus. Select a supporting character that was used during that adventure and use one of the above options for that supporting character. Which would you prefer?
The first option there, select 2
disciplines.
attributes. 2 disciplines to increase by 1 and
so
1 to decrease
it's a
by 1?
swap. One increases by 1, the other one decreases. A minimum of 1 and a maximum of 4.
Okay. I'd like to take that option. I'd like to reduce my medicine skill by 1. It's currently at 2. And increase my engineering. Increase science by 1.
All right.
Which will make it a 3.
So, under your spotlight, you get 1 from the following list. Choose 2 attribute. Reduce one of those attributes by 1 to a minimum of 7, and increase the other by 1 to a maximum of 11. Choose one in character's talent and replace it for another talent. Select a supporting character that's used during that mission, and use one of the above options for that supporting character. Choose 2 of the ship's systems, reduce one of those systems by 1 to a minimum of 6, and increase the other to a maximum of 12. Choose 2 of the ship's disciplines, reduce one of the disciplines by 1 to a minimum of 1, and increase the other by 1 to a maximum of 4. Or choose one of the ship's focuses and replace it with another focus.
I'd like to change my personal attributes.
7.
Minimum of 7 or 6? 7. Okay. I'd like to reduce my daring by 1,
Okay.
which makes it an 8. And increase my presence by 1 to make it
Okay.
11.
Good move. All right, last is the Arc Milestone. Choose a single attribute and increase it by 1. It can't be increased above 12. Choose a single discipline and increase it by 1. It cannot be increased above 5. Select 1 additional talent. Select 1 additional focus. Select 1 additional value. Select a supporting character that was used during that adventure and use one of the above options for the supporting character. Choose one of the ship's systems and increase it by 1 to a maximum of 12. Choose one of the ship's disciplines and increase it by 1 to a maximum of 4. And select 1 additional focus for the ship. Which would you prefer?
I would like to increase. I'd like to increase one of my attributes. Presence from 11 to 12.
I do like that you've gotten a little worse at being risky after this, but much better at imposing your will on others. I think that makes sense. You've been through the shit.
I agree.
in this context, definitely. Feel like this, although painful, this is going to be a growth-producing experience.
All right, who's next?
I'm next since I am second in command.
Okay, so normal milestone.
I'm going to decrease discipline, medicine from 3 to 2, to increase security from 3 to 4. And then spotlight milestone. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that is replacing talents.
You can do that.
I can do that, right? I'm going to replace the pack tactics security talent with the quick to action security talent. And then for the arc milestone, I'm going to increase an attribute, and I'm going to increase daring from 11 to 12.
Okay. All right. Marcus, you're up.
I was really hoping you were going to take a little bit longer with that. Because I still have no idea what to do. Let's see.
We start on our normal milestone.
Yep. I'm looking at the... Can I save the milestone? I really don't have something that I want to do
Typically, you would be able to save the milestone if this was a normal milestone or even a spotlight milestone, but not for an arc milestone.
Okay. All right. So I got to do something with it.
I mean, if you're not sure what to do with your character, there's nothing saying that you can't spend some milestones on a supporting character.
Right.
Like Fok or Throssi.
Too soon. Too soon.
Too soon, yeah. Let's see. Let's look at Dizrak.
Okay.
Hmm.
So go ahead.
Let's reduce his science by 1, take it to a 2, and his engineering, increase that one and make it a 3.
Okay. Done. All right. Now for the spotlight milestone.
All right.
Yeah, I suppose Dizrak is probably
Spotlight.
acting engineer right now.
Yeah. Let me see. Let's
Which he is woefully unprepared for.
look at. Yeah. Let me see. Sorry, I'm trying to look at the Bonaventure's sheet. I'm thinking I might swap the systems.
All right. How would you like to swap the systems?
How about we drop the structure to a 10
Okay.
and let's bump up the computers to
Okay.
a 10.
Done. All right. So next up is the Art Milestone.
Okay. I'm going to take my my discipline for con.
You
What's
can
the
bump it up to
maximum for
5.
that? Oh, nope.
Nope.
I can't go over 5. How about, well, let's see. Okay, let's do that. Let's take his fitness and bump
Okay.
it up to a 10.
All right. Next up is Dr. Bassa.
All right. The first thing I'm doing is moving down my presence and upping my reason for
Okay.
my first one. And then for my second one, I'm changing a focus. I'm dropping Ferengi physiology and putting on offensive
What's
medicine.
offensive medicine?
When I use medicine offensively, like gas people and
Oh.
hypospray people.
Like
Because I've been doing
offense
that a lot
versus
lately.
defense, not just medicine that offends
Yeah. No.
I love this change. This is amazing.
Well, it makes sense with what I've been doing.
We're
so.
going to have you lead in battle from
All right.
now on.
And then for the arc, I moved my daring up
Okay.
to an 8.
Perfect. All right, Captain, back to you. It is time for reputation. So, Captain, your
Okay.
privilege is a 4, and your responsibility is 17 to 20. So, what that means is that if you roll, when you roll, let's see.
It's just like focus. If he rolls less than a 4, it counts as 2 successes. And if he rolls a 17 through 20, it counts as a complication.
Okay. All right, what is your current reputation?
My current reputation is...
Your notes.
Where are we recording that? Or did...
I put mine under other equipment because there really was no good spot for it. I also carry my reputation with me.
Mine's under
I
assignment.
I also have it under other equipment. My
There you go.
reputation is 11.
All right. So as an 11, first things first, let's ask you a few questions. Did you act in according with your orders and directives? I think so. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did
you prevent combat?
I don't know if we had the opportunity to prevent combat.
Personnel under your
kind of
command are killed. The negative, that is a
Several.
negative. So that is an influence per character, main or supporting, that is killed. So that would be 2. Resorting to lethal force without cause. You miraculously didn't kill anyone through that whole process. Established
miracle.
an alliance with an enemy.
Oh, I think we did that.
Yep, we did that
directly contributed to saving lives.
Well, yeah. I mean, they were trying to kill.
Absolutely.
Castoria
I'm going to give you 2 bonuses for that. Acted above and beyond the call of duty.
I don't
disagree.
think so.
What does the group think?
He led us and we made it through that. So I think that's above and beyond.
I wouldn't actually agree with the captain on this. I think he did lead, but I would not say he necessarily went above and beyond.
Marcus?
I don't see it. I wouldn't vote yes. I would not vote yes.
What is your rationale? Quinn?
So on multiple occasions, you basically, through your leadership, held that entire room together, right? Saved multiple lives. At one point, you even personally led an offense that ran down hallways, and you fixed an engineering problem while taking fire.
To me, that's not above and beyond the call of duty, in that, rather than being, activities that are valorous in and of themselves, at that point, those were survival activities. We, went down that hallway so we didn't all asphyxiate. So, yes, there was a component of that which, was maybe valorous in a sense, but it was also self-preservation.
I agree with the captain. He did good, but I don't think it was beyond what we should have done.
Did you take any unnecessary risks in the course of the mission?
Other than the mission itself being an unnecessary risk?
Yes. Well, not that we had a choice to accept the mission.
Fair.
But in the course of the mission, no, I don't believe so.
So, the character rolls a number of d20s equal to the number of positive influences, and we take away so each d20, blah blah blah. if a number of successes scored is less than the number of negative influences. So you have 2 negative influences, so you need to get above that, but you have 4 positive influences. So first of all, let's roll 4d20.
Okay.
So that is... Wait, how does this work? Oh, your
That is
reputation,
4
which is 11.
in the
11. So
positive
that's 1,
direction.
2, 3, 4 successes.
And then 1 in the negative direction.
Right.
With the 17.
And that is within your responsibility. That's 2.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes.
3 successes total. All right. So you gain 1 point of 1 point of reputation.
Okay.
That's
So
right.
from 11 to 12.
All right, Kirid, did you act in accordance with your orders and directives?
Yes.
Did you prevent combat?
Not successfully, no.
I would argue differently in that you did spend a whole bunch of time arguing that you should not take the offensive against...
That's true. I would, I forgot
personnel
about that.
under your command are killed.
So how does that work? I am the first officer, but they were operating under the captain's commands.
The thing is that the captain is in a unique spot that everybody is always under his command. The first officer shares a lot of that, but not to the extent.
Because when Falk died, she was under Ithrasi's command, and then Ithrasi was under the captain's command, and basically she was put in charge of the ship when the captain made the decision to leave.
So if Kirid was leading this mission, and one of us died,
well, it's more
right?
the fact that you were
More
both
broad.
responsible for the ship when everything went down, right?
So it's kind of like the first officer and captain are in a special position where everyone falls under their command. Whereas once it gets down the chain a bit, then it gets a bit...
90% of the time this is going to apply to you. 100% of the time it applies to the captain.
That's fair.
So I'm going to add 2 negatives there. Resorted to lethal force without cause. Established an alliance with an enemy. I think so. Directly contributed to saving lives.
I would argue yes, specifically that of the crew. The captain made the decisions for more of the Orions, but Kirid put his life at risk repeatedly for the sake of the
and
crew.
also helping with me doing the medical tricorder mine, subspace mine thing.
Acted above and beyond the call of duty.
He wouldn't
taking
think
unnecessary risks in the course of the mission.
I would say that he did take unnecessary personal risks in an effort to guarantee other safety.
Go further and say there were times when you flipped out a warp spanner when a phaser was far more appropriate.
He would disagree with that, but that's just
so you have 3 negatives and 4 positive. Let's see.
All right, let's get this. And is my privilege of command 3, and then the responsibility 18? Okay.
Oh, not bad. So let's see. What is your reputation at now? Nice. So
11.
That's 4 successes and 2, 4 successes. That's it. So that's perfect. So you get 1 increase in reputation. So what is your reputation increase?
Perfect.
Okay, perfect.
12.
Okay, Marcus. Acted in accordance with orders and directives.
Yes.
Prevented combat.
Don't think so.
Personnel under your command are killed.
No.
Resorted to lethal force without cause. I'm gonna argue that.
No.
You did pull out
What?
a mek'leth and start stabbing a bitch from multiple times. And fired disruptors at unsuspecting Nausicaans.
We're forgetting that was a
What?
non-lethal mek'leth. I forget.
It was blunted.
He spent lots of time blunting the edges there, really.
You missed
And
that
the lethal force was not without cause. And I approached those Nausicaans first without a gun in my hand. I came to them first. They pulled the gun on me. Then I jumped for cover. Then I pulled out the disruptor. They were not unsuspecting at all. They were very suspecting.
Full
They
of-
fired the first shot.
So so this is hinging on the without cause piece.
Yeah. And for the when I drew the mek'leth, the guy was standing over Xandra and was going to kill her. And I came to defend her.
I'll accept it. Established an alliance with an enemy, of course. Directly contributed to saving lives.
Yeah. Being involved in getting rid of the mines,
The grav field.
the grav field, and
That.
also the transporter beams, flooding with radiation to stop the transporter
Acted
beam.
above and beyond the call of duty.
I would say yes. The fact that he was trying to, before everything got bad, he was the one suggesting that we should be reporting into the Bonaventure. He tried to get a map so that we could get a quick escape route out. And
What does the group think?
when that,
I think he acted outside of his specific area of responsibility in pursuing those tasks. Whether that's above and beyond the call of duty is for others
outside
to
his
decide.
specific
Not me.
responsibility and above and beyond the call of duty are very separate things. Above and beyond the call of duty speaks to a level of heroism that is not expected of anybody.
Like crewman Jenkins, for example.
right.
Like, are we going to get back after this assignment is done and get a Space Medal of Honor? That's the question that we're asking, I think.
Okay.
Well, then probably not.
Taking unnecessary risks in the course of the mission.
I don't think so.
All right, so
Yeah.
that would give you 3 positives and no negatives, which at Lieutenant Commander, your privilege is 2. Your responsibility is 19 to 20. Roll your 3 dice. You might get positive.
Yeah.
That is 3 successes.
Nice roll.
That overcomes your negatives by 3, so your reputation increases by 3.
What's his reputation at?
11 now.
What was it? It was at 8 before?
It was at 8 before, now I'm at
That's
11.
only 2 successes then.
Yes, you're right. So it was at 8 before, now it's at 10.
10.
Okay, so you've
10.
moved up a slot on the reputation table to the character's record is solid and their performance is satisfactory. The default state. You're on shaky ground for a little while, but you've really kind of proved yourself. I think that's positive. not only do I think that's
Mhm.
good, but like that really reflects what I saw in the story. All right, Captain. Not Captain, Doctor. Sorry.
Yes.
Yes.
Did you act in accordance with your orders and directives? Did
Yes.
you prevent combat?
I was right there along with Kieran arguing that we cannot just go slaughter, and that I don't know if that helps or not.
I'm not
That's
sure.
the-
Did you have any personnel under your command that were
No.
killed? Did you resort to lethal force without cause? Did you establish an alliance with an enemy? Did you
Yes.
directly contribute to saving lives?
Yes. Both lives of my people, their people, and using the mind thing as well.
Such an easy question
Right.
for the doctor to answer.
Plus, I was a terrible doctor.
Acted above
Lame.
and beyond the call of duty.
I'm on the fence about it. I think I had to, like, I don't know, the fact that I ran at people with hyper sprays and did things that were a lot more daring than really is expected of me or I expected of myself
What does the group think?
was pretty big.
I think that she did a fantastic work. She was very busy, but she did the doctor's job of saving people's lives. I think she acted outside of her station, similarly to what Marcus did when she charged the enemy with the hypo spray. Whether or not that's above and beyond the call of duty, I'm not sure.
I'd say so far, if any of our actions constitute going above and beyond, it would be that. She did something that was outside her duty, very specifically to incapacitate an enemy who was trying to kill us and trying to, kill our allies. So she, more so than anyone else, I don't know if it meets that threshold of definitely above and beyond, but it's the closest thing we have so far.
Yeah, I'm on the fence about it. There would have been zero recrimination for the doctor if she huddled down next to Sarah for that entire night and just got up to help deal with medical aid. Because that's her role. The fact that she took an active and combative stance in going so far as to charge the enemy is huge.
That also could itself have negative repercussions for the doctor putting her own life at risk, is by extension putting at risk the lives of everyone.
And that will be in that next question that's coming up. So,
Yeah.
Did you take any unnecessary risks?
Yes.
Don't be like Kieran.
So they might cancel each other out, but
I think that we're saying that we feel like we've met that threshold. Okay?
No problem.
Take unnecessary risks in the course of combat.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I charged with hypo spray.
I'm going to give you...
Yeah, that freaked Kieran
So
the heck
that
out.
means you have 3 positives and 1 negative. So 3 dice. What's your reputation currently?
16.
So that is 2 successes. Your reputation increases by 1.
Okay.
Interestingly enough, you have the best reputation on the ship.
It was all about that one mission where I was all by myself.
And it's that one question that she always gets to answer yes. I mean, if you had the question, did you use a warp spanner this mission? Of course I'd be rising up fast.
All right, cool. So that's that. I'm just going to quickly refill my drink, and then let's get down into the nitty-gritty of this, all right?
Sounds good.
Alrighty then. Now, Captain, you have received your captain's log. Hey, just wait.
I
will
have.
read our current events announcement for episode 5, Black Sheep. Shakar Eden is elected First Minister of the Provisional Government of Bajor after making a surprise entry into the election. Ai Wen makes a public declaration of support. Cesaro Ozarkzo and Thaven Zubreskrell have been married in a traditional Orion wedding, though that event was marred by extreme violence. There was some Federation presence at the wedding, but thus far, Vice Admiral Heath has not responded for comment. The expansion Konos-based Bakor Batleths won the Beta Quadrant Championship Finals and will vie for the Stanley Cup against the hosting Andorian Ice Cutters in 9 standard days. Finally, the Orion families under the leadership of Cesara have formally announced that they will no longer sell military-grade weapons or weapons technology to the Tyranidae, prompting the Great Guild to issue a strong condemnation, with their General Zimpek responding via subspace text-only communication saying, "Shady Cesara and thieving Thaven have their true colors shine through once again. Won't be able to live up to the legacy that their fathers left at all. Once a proud power in the sector, now falling apart. Sad."
Oh my.
What are you
Uh,
laughing at?
it's terrible.
Nothing to laugh at.
Make Castoria great again.
Tyranidae.
Make Tyranidae great again. That has a better ring to it.
Mata? Or Mataga? Yeah. All right. So,
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie, I had a lot of fun writing that particular section. All right. Captain, why don't you give us a full-throated captain's log?
Okay. Captain's log. The appearance of the Federation as outsiders in the region continues to make our mission more difficult. With any luck, establishing a permanent Starfleet presence on Castoria will help give the impression that the Federation intends to put down roots, but so far the inhospitable atmosphere has prevented the establishment of a more extensive or permanent embassy on the planet's surface. Fortunately, 3 atmospheric stabilizers are en route from Bolias, which should ease the task considerably.
The orders that you have been given, now that you're kind of up and running, even though there's many repairs to do, they're going to be done internally, and they just need you to get moving again. Every moment that that Bonaventure is down is a moment that the Orions and the Trinidae are emboldened in this sector, and the Castories have questions about their Federation membership. So they have given you a mission, and the mission is to for the Bonaventure to rendezvous with a Bolian and Terra's class freighter, the SS Das Safit. I'll write that down for everyone. You are to rendezvous with them and pick up the atmospheric stabilizers and then return them back to Castoris. Should be simple enough. What could possibly go?
Nothing at all.
Before we get started, are there any scenes regarding the events that have occurred up to this point that your characters want to engage in before we get into the story of this episode?
I don't know if there's anything I necessarily need to engage in, but I'm sure over this last I'm not sure, I guess. I'm not sure over this last 6 weeks if we have done a Federation send-off for those who were killed, or if we were too busy trying to fix things up and we're waiting on it, or what that would have been like.
It's a great question for the group. What did you do or didn't you do?
I think that something collective would probably be appropriate given the nature of the situation, as well as individual things as well. That's a lot of letter writing on behalf of the captain.
Okay. So a large collective memorial service. Traditionally, people lost in deep space are interred in deep space. They're basically put into coffin-shaped things and fired out the photon torpedo bay and sent into deep space.
So for the crew members who were lost, where that was culturally appropriate, there is a kind of a group memorial, but individual funerals. For the crew members where that was culturally appropriate to have them interred in deep space, they were. And for the remaining ones that need to be returned to their home worlds in accordance with their burial rites, we're keeping them in cold storage.
The captain has spent a significant amount of time writing letters. You're not used to losing people under your command. Writing 113 letters, I think that the captain probably starts out each one completely individualized. And then, quicker than he thought, he just changes the names. And that must be soul killing.
difficult, despite my best.
Can't hear you.
I can't hear him.
Difficult, despite my best intentions when I started.
It's just too many letters. Like, you can't. I mean, we've only had 4 weeks. It's, that sort of thing takes time.
All right, so you guys are take off from Castoria, and you're going to meet up with the SS Das Safit. During this journey, it is pretty quiet. The crew is in very low spirits, quite morose. There are still the sick bay is chock full of people, which include most of the extra crew that was brought on was additional medical crew from the Lua Real. So some people are being housed if they can be in their quarters, and then medical crew is going throughout the ship providing medical care as necessary until they're ready to return to their stations. But you can fly through space for several days, and there's not really anything exciting that happens. It's just very quiet, right? I mean, we see in Star Trek so many scenes where there's just like little side chatter as you would have with your coworkers around you. That just doesn't happen as much. Like, everything's just about work. No one's talking about the latest Hollow novel that they're going through. Everyone's just in a real dark place right now. And they're definitely looking to their senior staff for something. They probably don't even know what during this process.
Kieran's doing a lot of solo drinking in his off
Solo
hours.
drinking.
I make a formal request that when captain's asking for more crew, a ship's counselor would be a great addition at this time to deal with the loss.
Yeah, I'm going to say there probably is an acting ship's counselor that was brought on board from Castoria, from the Federation Embassy, probably brought up, and he is stationed here for a period not exceeding 3 months. But you can...
Yeah. Long term, we probably need someone.
Now, of course, Federation medical personnel are trained with psychiatric and psychological protocols, but a specialist in this area is not a bad idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So you do get a immediate ping on your long-term sensors that there is a ship at your extreme edge of your sensor, out close to where the rendezvous point with the SS Das Safit would be, while you're on the bridge. Let me move you guys to the... No, not engineering. Instead, the bridge.
I swear he takes us to all these just different places to generate threat for himself and take away our momentum. Up, new scene. That's more momentum. Less
where
momentum for
is
you
the
and more threat for
bridge?
me.
Did we
I've
lose the
lost
bridge?
the bridge. Okay. Oh, I passed it.
The bridge.
Can everyone see the bridge? There we go. Lovely.
Yes.
So the senior staff is at their posts, with some exceptions. Spock is not at a science station. Ithrasi is not at tactical. Xandra is pulling double shifts right now. She's doing her duties as well as double shifting as security chief, covering her duty shifts in the interim. So, what do you guys do?
Tactical can get a identification on the ship.
Oh, lovely. So, yes, that would be your sensor operator. So, that would be Jake.
Unfortunately.
That's going to be
what do I
an
need to roll?
insight plus science. There's insight plus engineering, and the Bonaventure can assist with sensors plus science.
All right, here we go.
No successes for Kieran Hex.
Who's rolling for the ship?
I can roll for the ship.
And a single success for the Bonaventure. You do immediately get a scan. The SS Sandafit beacon is alive, but you are getting a whole bunch of wreckage and interference from that area.
Is it so? Would that sort of thing be expected? Should, say, the SS Das Safet have been attacked and destroyed? All right, Captain. It seems we may have a problem. It's getting readings like the ship is destroyed.
Are we detecting any other ships in the area?
Was there anything else in the area of
Not
note?
that you took in at long range.
Not that I could see this far out, Captain. May I suggest that we increase warp to get there as fast as we can?
Let's increase to maximum warp and go to yellow alert.
So the engines kick up and you guys start flying. The inertial dampeners, because of the structural damage, are a little off. And David Humphreys isn't around to fix them. So when you get up above warp 7, the deck plating kind of shimmies a bit right now. You're told that it won't impact anything. It just makes everything feel like it's about to fly apart. Since you go to yellow alert, your shields come up and you come flying in into this area. What you do see is that there is the Das Safet is destroyed. It's a Bolian and Terrace class freighter. And it's a merchant vessel, and it has been attacked and gutted. It was clearly a vicious attack, and so it's kind of transponder beacons going off, but there is no emergency signal. There's no distress call or anything.
Life signs. Check for life signs.
Is it fairly obvious that there are no life signs given the severity of the damage? Or should we check for that?
A case. Now that you're up close, there might be escape pods. There could be people trapped in different places. You have no idea, no way of knowing.
I'll begin a scan to see if I can find any life.
There is background radiation from explosions, leaking plasma and antimatter, particles excited by disruptors, etc. And so that increases the difficulty of any sensor or transport by +2 in close range to the Das Safet.
Cool. This will work well. I'm really good at this.
So this is a 0, so that brings it up to a difficulty 2.
You can do this.
Insight and engineering assisted by the sensors plus science.
Right.
That's a couple of successes right away. And 2 more successes. You now have 2 momentum. Of
Woo!
course, I have 8 threat. Just FYI.
You really like just rubbing that in our
Yes.
face, don't you?
Yes, I do. You do get some life signs, less than a dozen life signs. The crew of the Death Sapphic would have been around 50.
Captain, I'm picking up about 5 or 6 life signs.
Is it possible to transport them to the ship?
You're in close
How
range,
far away are they?
so that's not a problem. You are in transporter range. The background problems makes it difficult. So, since they wouldn't be transporting from a transporter pad, that increases the difficulty by 1. If you try to do a site to site to your sick bay, that would be a difficult. It would also increase the difficulty by 1. Plus, the background radiation would be a 4. With the background radiation and you transporting to your transporter bay or transporter pad, and then having medical teams meet them there, it would be a difficulty of 3.
Could we get a little bit more information about where these life signs are located? I mean, I've since I've scanned for them. We've found their presence, but where are they? Are they aboard the vessel? Are they in a life or escape pod?
Yeah, they're. Go ahead.
I'd like to know. Or go ahead. I'd like to know just what Kieran was saying. Are they aboard like the remaining superstructure? Are they in life pods? Is there a way that we can, tow these life pods in, or send a shuttle to access the structure?
Before we bring anybody on board this vessel, we need to know more about them.
So they are all within the superstructure of the ship, and at close range, your sensors will tell you that not a single life pod has been used. So no distress signal, no life pods fired off.
So can we see this ship? We're close enough that we have it up on screen. Could you describe what it looks like?
Class.
I mean, not necessarily like the ship, but the damage done to it. I mean, does it look like it was attacked by pirates? Does it look like they had engine malfunctions and explosions from within? I mean, you've mentioned the severity, but...
So it looks like there was a severe and overwhelming attack that came from 3 or more sides at once, that it was close fire, that it immediately overwhelmed them, that their shields weren't up, and they were immediately overcome. And it must have happened so fast that they had no response, no ability to do anything about it. Their shields didn't even get up. Their life pods didn't go out. They didn't look. There's no evidence of phaser fire, so they're not sure that they even fired back. And then more damage has been done to the ship since that initial salvo. Though. Mm-hmm. I'm going to upload a picture here of an Antares class, even though it won't be to scale by any stretch, and it won't show you the extent of the damage, but just so you can see what it looks like, I'll do this. Oh, that didn't work out so well. Oh, less. What I should have done is this in advance, because this probably doesn't make for very interesting radio. But I'll show you what it looks like, even though this isn't a great picture. Now, the Antares class freighters have been in service since Kirk's day.
Okay.
So, anyways, the fact that you see this, I mean, it is a mess. The blocky, old school, 200-year design of the Antares class freighter is on display. It was not ever meant to be a warship, 200 years ago when it was initially designed, and it is obviously well out of its league for whatever attacked it this time.
Okay. Captain, I would suggest that we attempt to rescue the individuals aboard the freighter, but take extra precautions with quarantine and security when we bring them on board, as we do not know what threat they may pose.
Right. Very well, let's go ahead.
So what's the plan? Sorry, reading my notes.
The plan is to begin rescuing survivors. As well, I'd like Kirid to see what kind of analysis can be done on the weapon signatures and the scarring on the hull.
Okay.
That might give us a clue as to who the
Okay.
perpetrators might have been.
It might be valuable to try and communicate with them. I don't know if that would be at all successful given the status of the ship, but we're in close enough range that maybe we could reach the individuals.
We can try hailing them.
All right, opening hailing frequencies, Captain. A few attempts are made. There's no response, Captain.
Okay, so let's begin attempting to transport the survivors over to the Bonaventure's transporter room and to have medical crews, Dr. Bassa,
Okay,
standing by
so
there.
the go right ahead.
We did say that we wanted to set up like quarantine fields for when
All
they
right,
come in. And
so
Can you see to that, Doctor?
the
We know it.
transporter chief that's on
Great.
duty can attempt to do this. It is, since he's actually in the transporter room while this is happening, he'll decrease the difficulty by 1. So this is a total difficulty of 2. Somebody will need to roll that. Now that's 2 dice. He has a skill in this area of 11. Ship does
the ship assist?
The ship will assist with sensors plus sensors plus
I'll roll the ship.
science. Okay, who's rolling
roll
for
the
the
ship.
transporter chief? O'Brien. No relation.
I'll get it.
I can.
Oh, you're good.
Go ahead.
You can.
Okay,
Very Canadian
2d20.
to the Canadian argument. No, you go. No, you.
You go.
No, you.
2d20, skill of 11.
Okay. No successes. No successes. It's impossible to get a fix on the position through this interference.
Okay, could we have Kirid enhance the targeting sensors in the transporter room or to create some kind of field surrounding the wreck that would make us able
Boost the
to
transporter
transport through.
signal or something. Create an advantage is what.
Yeah,
Yes.
I create advantage. Yes.
Could we haul the wreckage with the tractor beam out of this area to try and decrease the amount of latent radiation from all the weapon explosions?
Any one of those could create an advantage. So which of those strategies would you like to employ?
Captain?
Let's, if we can safely tow the ship out of the radiation
Okay.
field, let's do that.
You lock on with your tractor beam and begin reversing. Now, that is going to be a, I think this is a con officer's job. So that is going to be a control plus engineering test.
Okay.
The Bonaventure is going to assist with weapons plus science. There's a couple of successes already, so you've created the advantage. Now let's see if you get any momentum with the Bonaventure. That is 1 point of momentum, 1 success. You're up to 3 momentum. It is fun because on my notes I have threat written and then underneath mom.
Lots of threat, little mom.
So you begin reversing. The best way to do this is to continue to actively be towing this thing while you attempt another transport, because that kind of will leave some of this stuff that's coming off of this and tow it out of the field that's been created. Now you may attempt another transport. That is going to be an insight plus engineering test.
And sorry, will the transporter chief
Yep.
be performing this, or? Okay, and who are we using as a stand-in?
This person has a ability of 11, so somebody just needs.
Okay.
And I'll roll for the ship.
1 success, and the ship. That is a second success. You, my friends, are successful with 2 successes.
Yay,
so
we
that is
saved
a
people.
total of 5 momentum that you have earned to this point. You transport the survivors on board. They're met by a medical team in a containment field, and medical care is immediately being given to them.
Who are they? What's their injuries, doctor?
Yeah, I wrote as soon as I kind of give everyone the once over, get everyone situated and everyone working, I radio into, or I communicate into the bridge and let them know.
These are Federation
the
citizens,
situation.
primarily Bolian. This is a Bolian freighter. So,
Are they all
Primarily
Boolean, or are they just primarily Boolean?
so there's some people that you have brought on board that aren't Bolian. There's like humans, that sort of. But most of them are Bolians.
And their
pretty
injuries?
severe, but you're going to have to, for any further information on that, you're going to have to make a report.
Okay. I let a captain. We have some Booleans and a few others on board. Injuries look serious. We're going to begin medical care immediately. We'll update you as we have more information. So.
Okay. Well, please begin treating our guests, and once they are stabilized, we would definitely be interested in asking some questions about what happened.
Okay. So if they're stable enough to take them down to sick bay to do things there,
Mhm.
that's probably
You
the
start
best.
transporting them
Okay.
on those cool hover gurneys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah, you start doing that. So now you're towing a wrecked
Okay.
ship through space. What are you guys doing?
We want to deactivate
Okay.
the tractor beam. We likely don't need to tow it much further. I'd like to get an analysis of the damage on the ship from Commander Hex, with any clues as to the nature of the damage and the type of weapons that may have been used.
Okay. I can work on that. And so this is an insight plus engineering again. Okay.
Or no, this would be insight plus. Oh yeah, I'll go with insight plus engineering.
If you want to go literally anything else, I'm fine with it.
Like fitness plus medicine.
That would be better for me, yes.
No, insight plus engineering is fine.
Okay. And the ship needs to help me, please.
Okay.
Now the ship can assist with a sensors plus engineering, or sensors plus
Sweet.
science.
Yeah.
Yeah.
4
look at-
4
successes.
successes will do. So with 4 successes, basically what you are going to get is this immediately fits a profile of a specific reclusive species that is known to be in this sector of space. And so, since you exceeded the difficulty threshold by 2, I'll give you the first 2 of 6 possible momentum spends for free. Okay?
Cool.
So the um, species are called the Novatine. They are a disorganized, chaotic, volcanoid nomadic species that has been known to operate in this sector of space, but not in this area until now. Momentum spend 1. Vulcan does not recognize the Novatine as an offshoot species and accepts no responsibility for it. Momentum spend 2. The Romulans similarly do not recognize the Novatine and accept no responsibility for them. Momentum can give you up to 4 more pieces of information.
So, crew, what do we want to know?
I'd like to know.
So these momentum spends
Or
would
do we
just
have
give you specific information.
Oh, there you go.
Specifically what they took,
No
assuming that this
momentum
was a
needed for
raid.
that. So this is not a situation where I'm asking you to spend momentum to answer questions. This is just kind of like an extended research task where I'm just giving you more stuff.
Oh, so we can just spend a
Yes.
specific
Now,
number?
I'll tell you
Yes.
right now, the atmospheric stabilizers are gone. Yeah.
Shocker. I vote we just spend all the momentum earned on that to get more information.
So
What do you
4
guys
momentum?
think?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah. I want to get as much information out of this as we can.
The captain will quickly find out that whether you choose to share this or not, is Federation diplomatic hidden protocols state that the Federation's official position is that the Novatine are Romulans. On spend 4, the Romulan official diplomatic position is that the Novatine are Vulcans, and thus citizens of the Federation. Spend 5. There is evidence in various records, rumors, scraps of information that the Novatine have been here for some time, that the Orions have generally kept them at bay. However, with the Orions recently cowed by the Federation at Tyrinidae, plus Caesara's wedding, turmoil, and consolidation, plus increasing traffic in the region due to the increased Federation presence, means that this may end up being an ongoing threat. And lastly, Novatine are what Vulcan were in danger of becoming prior to Surak's reforms. They present an existential threat to the Vulcan's self-image. Thus, they have used their influence in the Federation to quietly refuse to acknowledge the Novatines despite any amount of evidence. The Romulans, while delighting in the angst the Novatine caused their cousins, had previously made several overtures to bring these cousins into the Empire as shock troops and deniable assets against the Klingons. However, the Novatine proved too chaotic and untrustworthy and bloodied their noses a few times. There are rumors that a hijacked Diderix-class warbird is in Novatine hands, and they cannot rule out the possibility that it is somewhere nearby.
Ooh. That's fun.
That's a lot of stuff.
I wrote it down to the best of my ability.
Well, it sounds like we need to do our best to track down the Novatine responsible for attacking the ship, to, at minimum, retrieve the atmospheric stabilizers, and to confront the attackers, ideally bringing them to justice. Ideally. So, could we scan the area to see if there are any warp trails that might give us an indication as to which way the ship or ships went?
Yes, absolutely. So scanning the area for warp signatures, warp trails, that is a insight plus science task, and the sensors and science of the Bonaventure can assist.
Insight plus science, you said. Okay.
That is a single success. Now for the Bonaventure.
Vanessa, my normal ship is gone, so one of you two is going to have to do it.
And another success. That is the 2 required successes. So you do get 3 warp trails going off in roughly the same trajectory, but you can spend momentum to ask further questions about what you found.
Would you like to do that, Captain, or do you think that we should just start heading that way and scanning? You are muted, but I appreciate the attempt.
I think we should just start heading that way.
Mm-hmm. I concur.
Yeah. So let's begin following that trail and see where it takes us.
Do you want to go kind of slower than normal and scan, like being very precautious, or do you want to follow them before to make sure they can't get away?
Great question. Being cautious is not a bad tactical move. On the other hand, there's probably nothing in this sector that the Bonaventure can't run down in a straight line.
I mean, I don't know the technical specifications, but one thing that we couldn't run down in a straight line would be a Diradex
You
class
could.
warbird.
You are faster. You just wouldn't be sure what to do when you caught it.
Right.
Could you catch me up to speed on what exactly that is? I mean, is it just a big scary ship? Is that all I need to know?
It's the Romulan warbird. It's strong. It could be stronger than a Galaxy class starship. It's the Romulan's heavy hitter.
Okay,
Yeah.
powerful
They're
ship. Got it.
ginormous and powerful.
I
What
like
you guys?
that.
Scale 5, I think, right? They're either a
Yeah.
scale 6 or 7. They're big. So Galaxy class is a scale 6 ship. So they're just giant, but they're also incredibly powerful. Also, fun fact, they have cloaking technology. So they can just become invisible to visual sensors and to other sensors.
Oh, good.
Now,
Yeah.
there's no evidence in the 3 small warp trails you're following that you're following a Diderix class warship. But
Their ship could have been cloaked.
Are we able to question any of the crew that we've rescued from the freighter? Because it'd be helpful to get their take on what happened. Are they conscious? Are they in
yeah, there's a
fit
couple of them
states?
that would be conscious. They will have reported at this point that they're pretty sure that they were attacked by Vulcans. And they were in 3 small fighter ships, and they're pretty sure that those fighter ships were cloaked and surrounded them and decloaked a second before they attacked.
Very rude. I also
Mhm.
report that they were very rude, along with all the pertinent information.
The freighter's crew members were very rude? That's terrible.
Yeah.
Ships are really rude. They just decloaked and fired.
Let's. I'd like to begin following the warp trails, not necessarily at a slow speed, but not at maximum warp either.
Your cruising speed's about warp 7.
We think we begin following the trails at warp 7.
What is your
scanning
alert
while
status?
we go. Yellow alert.
Aim your sensors at the warp trail and take off at warp 7 with fields. Stand by. I need another break. Sorry, it's very hot here. I'm drinking a lot of liquid.
It's very hot here, and I'm fine.
He stole my fan. I'm
That's
fanless.
rude. It's very rude.
Just because his room is hotter. Ugh.
Lame.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, ceiling fans aren't really a thing up there.
It depends. Like,
They
my
exist.
cabin, my cabin always had ceiling fans.
Yes.
Because that's what cabins do, right?
No, down here, homes, every single room, with the exception of like bathrooms and kitchens, have a fan. It's just built into every room, regardless. Because for the last week here, it's felt like 45, and the temperature's been about 40. So it's been super fun.
Sounds awesome.
Oh, so great. So nice. I don't even know what to do.
Sounds like death.
Yeah, that's what it feels like every time I walk out the door in the morning to go to work.
Why do people want to live there?
I don't know, but they do.
Of course, why would someone want to live in a place where it regularly gets below minus 30?
That's fair as well. That's what they say whenever I ask them why do they want to live here. They're like, well, I don't want to live up there either. So
I feel like there's a middle ground.
Yeah. That's what I'm shooting for with where I'm applying for jobs. And they did bring up the good point, like cold will kill you faster than will heat. You can still die of heat exhaustion, heat stroke, but cold as a it's a lot more lethal in general. And that's a fair point. But you can also counter it,
Cold is pretty easy to counter,
a lot easier.
whereas
It
heat
is.
is less so.
You need like CFCs to combat heat.
To combat heat, you need to stay hydrated and you don't need to be exposed to sun. That's it. It really isn't that hard. You'll be uncomfortable, but to be safe, it doesn't really take all that much. You can't get overexposed to the sun, and you need to make sure that you don't get dehydrated through sweat.
I don't know.
Cold, you just put on more clothes.
Oh, and
Right?
Or start a fire.
Yeah.
I am totally on your side, which is why the north is the place to be. But they did make some points I don't think I could counter. Other than the fact that it is just bloody unpleasant, and how on earth can they just be okay with it being like this 8 months out of the year?
For a period in my life, I worked outside, and I definitely liked working outside in the middle of the winter a lot more than the middle of the summer. Because in the middle of the winter, you can always put another layer on. In the middle of the summer, there's only so much you can take off.
Yeah, no, I can't take off what I need to take off to be comfortable while
not just
remaining
decent. I worked
Even
in
if
the
I took off
oil
everything.
patch, and you had, by regulation, we had to wear fire retardant pro bands at all times, hard hat, and work gloves, and steel-toed boots. So the only exposed skin I had was like this, and it would be like ridiculous above, and that was a nightmare.
Yeah, it's when I'm in the field down here, it's 40, 45, and I have to wear PPE, and you have to remain covered because the sun will kill you faster than the heat will. So it's fun.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right, so you are currently following along, tracking the Novatine in the 3 smaller warp trails. Now, you are going to need to make another sensor check as you go, just to make sure you don't lose the trail. But this is going to be a difficulty 0 because you already kind of know what you're looking for.
Will this one be Insight plus?
Insight plus Science.
Okay.
There's a success. There's another success. So you do get 2 momentum out of the deal, increasing your momentum up to 3. And go ahead.
I would like to just say that in this entire time, Kieran is very actively scanning for ship signatures at the far end of the scanning spectrum. If that wasn't implied.
So you're firing you're continually tracking this warp trail, but you're also firing off very regular long-range scans just to see if there's anything out there. Up to this point, you don't find anything. This goes on for some hours when there is a change in the warp signature in that they stop. Yeah, they stop. Away. You don't lose them. You're sure of.
What would cause this?
Cloaking device.
And stopping warping.
Can they
stop warp?
Stopped warp, cloaked, and then went on impulse?
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably nearby.
So this is where we need to stop.
This sounds like a great place to stop.
Quinn, while we're on our way and doing that, Dr. Bassa's looking at injuries to those and kind of relaying that information to Captain, like what weapons they have that they're using and things like that, so they can be prepared for when we do encounter
an Insight plus Medicine check.
Emergency medicine, would that apply?
No.
No? Okay, no problem. And does my tricorder help?
Well, you're in the sick
Medical
bay, but
tricorder? Yeah, more.
and so that does the tricorder is probably not. You know, I'm only going to allow the tricorder bonus like when
Yeah,
you're in the field kind of thing, because when you're in sick bay,
Gotcha.
Bonaventure can help.
Oh,
So
okay, Bonaventure will do it. Okay.
why don't we do a computers plus medicine test?
I got it.
Okay, thanks.
Another 2 successes. So this does bring you up
Nice.
to full momentum. 5. You do have 1 or 2 people that have disruptor burns from just kind of hand disruptors. But most of the injuries are
Okay.
just what you would expect from a ship blowing up around you.
Ship blowing apart. But at least I let them know like there were disruptors. They were fired directly upon, not just collateral, right? I think that's kind of important to know too when we're facing off with them.
Definitely corroborates the story of the fact that they stole what was on the freighter, so they had to go on board to get it.
Yeah.
Okay, so at this point, you come warping in at warp 7, and you just come to a complete stop. Right in the area where the warp signatures have gone away. You have all this information. I should mention to you that because there's actually there's stuff that happens because your ship is hurt. Probably let you know about.
Well, you could just ignore it because, nothing bad is happening to the ship.
Mm-hmm. It's not like we're falling into a trap.
No enemies here.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe some neat new power, like we can detect cloaking devices. That happened.
Maybe
Oh,
we can
shucks.
cloak ourselves now.
Oh, weird. Yeah.
Oh, that'd be nice.
Ourselves as flying rubble.
Okay, I was on the wrong page entirely. There we go. Okay, so you have 2 breaches directly to your structure. So you do, because of the breaches to your structure, you have 1 fewer turns than you otherwise would due to the scale of your ship. Instead of the 5 turns you'd typically get, if you were in a combat situation, you'd get 4. Pushte?
Okay.
All right. Anything else you are going to do?
Our shields are up, right?
Are up and at maximum.
Good.
Let's scan the area for anomalies. The warp trail has ended, but perhaps there's some other clue as to where these ships might have gone.
Doing a scan of the area will be an insight plus security.
Okay.
That's 1 success. And the sensors plus security can help you out. And it's 2 additional successes.
Nice.
And on that, I will tell you that you sense nothing out there. Don't get an impulse drive. You don't get a warp signature. You don't get a transponder frequency. There's no like plasma or electromagnetic pull that you'd get off a ship. There's nothing out there.
And just to forgive my general knowledge of Star Trek, but when cloaked, wouldn't you normally leave some of these signs behind even while cloaked because you're still
Cloaking
technically there?
technology is designed to mask as many of these things as possible. Doing specific scans to try to spot cloaked ships is a whole separate thing. You've got to look for, tachyon anomalies or whatever it is, right? So you do have data on, like, when trying to detect a cloaked ship, this is what you look for. But it's very hit and miss and quite difficult.
Gotcha. Captain, I'm detecting nothing. No impulse, no warp trails, no latent impulse energy. Nothing from this area.
Are there any nearby systems or planets, planetoids that these
No,
ships could have
there's
headed
nothing
towards?
here. Absolutely nothing.
Okay.
Okay.
Commander, did your scan take into account the possibility of cloaked ships?
It wasn't as in-depth an analysis as we would need to detect cloaked ships. I can proceed with that if you desire.
Go ahead.
So how would this go about?
So you can do a scan for some of the telltale signs that you know of for cloaked ships, and hope you. I mean, essentially, you're kind of in a 360-degree 3D universe. You're pointing a telescope out and hoping you hit something. But
Yeah.
in general, if you're successful, you can detect the presence of cloaked ships. You might not be able to say
And that's
where
what
they
I
are,
want to look
but
for.
you might.
That's all I want.
So that is going to be a sensors plus security test.
Okay.
Oh, wait. That's for the Bonaventure. For you, an insight plus science.
Insight plus science. Okay. I was rolling with my sensors attribute.
Ooh, huzzah. 3 successes. Now for the Bonaventure. And that is an additional success for 4 successes. With that amount of successes, immediately what you get is, as you're at a full stop, there is a single small craft behind you and 2 in front of you in a Y formation surrounding you.
Captain, the ships are here. They're surrounding us.
Red
Y
alert.
formation, 2 in front, one in back.
Red alert. As soon as you do that, their cloaks drop and their shields come up. You're now in combat. Now these
Woo.
call them Novatine Raiders. These are cobbled together kind of raiding ships. They're small, probably twice the size of a Danube-class runabout, and they have been retrofitted to be tough. They are pirate ships. Immediately, as soon as they appear, they are jacked with weapons and full of extra armor and armaments, but they are still quite small comparatively. They are a scale 2 ship, each one of them, and away we go. So, as you know, in combat, the player characters go first, typically moving through as command. Now, in this particular situation, I'm guessing that Dr. Bassa will relent her turn over to Xandra Thorsdaughter, and or
I don't know. I was doing some good medicine.
Or
in there, but
Dizrak,
okay.
who would be also part of Dizrak is manning the engineering station.
And I also should point out the talent that I took will affect all of you. So during this first round of combat, we may ignore the normal cost to retain the initiative, which means we can pass the initiative from one of us to another one of us without having to pay momentum, which you can do at any time, but you normally have to pay momentum. We can do this essentially once, and then we have to let them go. So the two of us can go before one of them can go, and then two of us can go before one of them can go. And so this can happen during any combat during the first round only.
So let's quickly figure out who's doing what. So the commanding officer is, of course, the captain. The helm and navigator will, of course, be Marcus. Sensors will, of course, be Kirid.
Yeah.
I'm guessing security and tactical will be Xandra. And comms will also be communications, will also be Kirid. And internal systems control will be Dizrak. You have 4 turns rather than 5 in a round. Captain, you're up.
Okay. The captain would like to. How much
5.
momentum do we have right now?
Full complement.
5. Okay. The captain would like to. I'm not sure if he can do this on his own, but attempt to hail them.
Do you want to give the captain communications instead of command, or as well as command?
He's the one who needs to be communicating.
Yeah,
makes sense to me.
So let's see. Communications, hailing frequencies open. This requires a control plus engineering task.
Okay.
Oh yeah, that totally makes sense for Kirid not to do that. He has no control and knows nothing about engineering.
This would arguably fall under diplomacy. Okay.
Huzzah! 3 successes. The ship can assist with a communications plus engineering.
I think, Tim, that's you. Vanessa and I are ship buddies. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another success. You're full up on momentum, so that's something. So yes, hailing frequencies open. What do you have to say, Captain?
This is Captain Celis Argel of the Federation Starship Bonaventure. Please state your intentions. Ours are peaceful.
FYI.
Just so you know.
Side note.
We're currently investigating the theft of some atmospheric manipulators, if you have any information you'd like to share.
Stabilizers, atmospheric stabilizers. Right.
Stabilizers.
Immediately up on the screen comes a Vulcan in everything but name. He looks completely Vulcan. He's in I shouldn't say he. This person doesn't express a particular gender over another. So they are scarred, and one of their pointed ears is cut off, and they're scowling, and they are just completely aggressive in everything. You can see like a bandolier of disruptor grenades going across the person's chest, as well as at least one shoulder holster with a wicked-looking disruptor in it. And they say, "I'm Captain Vamarco. You will surrender to us."
We will not surrender, but we hope to reach some sort of dialogue. I feel like we may be having a misunderstanding about
Roll a
our
D6.
intentions.
You've been tracking us for weeks, haven't you? I knew I was being followed. There's no way you could have found us this fast. Kill them all! And he goes off.
That went well.
Okay, well,
Chatty and paranoid.
They're a treat.
All right,
Yeah.
now
Real delight this one.
Yeah.
That's your.
Oh, go ahead. Oh, so just kind of general message to the crew. Although they're presenting as hostile and posturing, we are not to take explicitly aggressive action against them until fired upon. After we're fired upon, or if we're fired upon, we can respond in kind. But until then, I don't want any aggressive action taken.
Even though they destroyed the freighter?
We suspect that they destroyed the freighter.
We have witnesses that they destroyed the freighter.
They still haven't fired on us.
So who would modulate shields? Can we do that?
Because we can pass the initiative to our own team member
right now. So
right now.
Captain, would you like to modulate shields?
Let's modulate our shields.
Sandra. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And after this, we have to let them go. And then in our next turn, we'll be able to retain the initiative once more. And we always can retain the initiative for 2 momentum. But just in this first round of combat, we can do so for free.
So the tactical officer will attempt a control plus security task. Has a difficulty of 2.
Oh, where did you go? Where did you go? Okay, control plus security. And then assisted by the Bonaventure.
The Bonaventure assists with a structure plus engineering test. Okay, that's 3 successes. That brings you above what is required. So the ship's resistance is increased by +1, with an additional +1 for every momentum spent at this moment. So your resistance currently is 5, increased to 6.
I'd spend half our momentum or 2/3 of our momentum, 3 or 4, doing this.
Let's spend 3 or 4.
4?
4.
Okay, so
I
that
totally
increases
split that.
your resistance from 6 to 10 as you remodulate your shields. Immediately they go. What are they gonna do?
Well, the captain seemed pretty paranoid.
Yes.
A mite.
Okay, so what one of them is going to do, the one the captain was speaking from, that is in behind you, is going to fire their disruptors at you. see, I think it's disruptor banks. So they're going to fire their disruptor at you right from behind. That is a control plus security task. That is 1 success, and that is assisted by weapons plus security. That is an additional success. That is a hit. So they do hit immediately. Momentum spends I can spend. Yeah, that's the ticket. I'm going to spend 8 threat immediately on penetration, taking into consideration that they're like right behind you, right almost inside your shields. Not quite inside, but they're just firing almost at point blank range at you. So they're going to.
Can you add penetration?
I
Or can you just
can
add damage?
penetration. 1 repeating.
Cool.
So I'm going to spend 8 to reduce it by 8, and that'll reduce your resistance to 2. Then they are going to roll their damage. Their disruptor banks have a damage rating of 6. 6 challenge dice with the vicious. All right, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 points of damage.
-2 for resistance is 6, and we
So
have a
you
breach.
do get hit immediately in the back. Your
Ooh.
shield modulation comes down. Your shield modulation comes down, and you take 6 points of shield damage. Now your shields sit at 1, 2, 3, 12, 13, and you just took 6, so you went down to 7 shields, and you take a single breach. Roll a d20 for the system hit.
Got
Got it.
Aha, I win.
Oh, you're quicker. I can't believe how much damage he rolled.
Their
All
disruptor
threat
banks
he
are
spent.
pretty awesome, but it's really the vicious quality that got you in the end. Each of those is an extra
Yeah.
point of damage. So you got hit in your weapons system for 1 breach. So you whenever the weapon system suffers 1 or more breaches, it disrupts those functions temporarily until the ship tactical officer performs the restore minor action. The ship cannot make any attacks, nor can it attempt any other task that would be assisted by the ship's weapon systems.
Wow.
So
That's terrible.
they fire. There's a big rock of the ship as everyone's lurched forward, and immediately Xandra's Xandra
That's right,
starts
you tell him.
barking loudly and angrily at this situation, which is pretty in keeping with her personality so far. Exactly.
This is why we like her.
She immediately reports to the captain that weapons are down. It'll take me a second to get them back up, Captain. All right.
Please do so.
Roll a d6. Okay. All right. So, it's tricky to run 3 ships by myself. ever mentioned this before?
You can just get rid of the other two.
Second ship engages its tractor beam, which is a control plus security task.
It should be
no,
our turn again.
All three go. No, technically it should be. No, but they
that's
will
not how you were doing
eventually
it. Yeah.
go. You're right. You are absolutely right.
Not that it will really matter.
No, but it does matter. You are up. So it went from captain to Xandra. Now Kirid and Marcus. Kirid or Marcus is up.
Could instead
Israk?
was it, or the... Yeah, could he take Kirid's place in taking an action? Because Kirid can't really do anything sensor-wise, but Dizrak might be able to.
He controls
trying to remember
internal
what he
system.
can do.
Could he restore the weapons?
The officer sends a damage control team which attempts to repair a single breach. The officer chooses a single damaged or disabled system and attempts a presence plus engineering task with a difficulty determined by the system chosen. If successful, the system is restored to function and can be used again normally.
Technically, the weapons being hit does say that the tactical officer needs that to do a restore minor action, but that's, stupid that the engineer couldn't also do that. So, yes, I'll allow that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So I'll go ahead and roll for him in that and try and get those back online. So just that is presence plus engineering. And I don't think he has any focuses that are applicable.
Oh no.
Ooh.
No successes and a complication. The Bonaventure does get to assist, I think.
Uncomplicate
Want
things.
to spend the momentum to uncomplicate? All right, you're down to 4 momentum.
So, yeah.
I think starting off our thing, we need to be uncomplicated for a bit.
In the description, it makes no mention of the Bonaventure assisting in this role. It's just
so he was
the officer.
He was not able to
down.
bring weapons online.
And in fact, almost screwed something up by
trying
trying to do so.
Power, something started blowing up. He handled it, but weapons are still offline.
The whole time going, I really don't want this job. I really don't want this job.
He wants to be a navigator.
I hate this job.
You do what you need to do. I'm then going to retain the initiative and pass it off to Marcus.
Didn't you retain the initiative already once? By spending momentum?
We can do it as multiple times. No, we can do it for this first round for free. We can't do it more than once in a row. You can't do it twice in a row. And then, so we have to let them act, but then we can do it again once more.
Okay. Marcus says, Marcus asks if the captain wants evasive maneuvers.
Let's get some evasive maneuvers going.
Plus con task with a difficulty of 1.
Con. And I have the focus of evasive action.
That's 2 successes, so you're already successful and gained a point of momentum. It does. You also get structure plus con for the Bonaventure.
Captain, you do that.
Captain.
Pardon me?
Yep, you're up.
You roll for the ship.
Okay. 20.
and another success. That does cost 1 power, but until the flight controller's next turn, all attacks against the ship and all attacks made by the ship increase their difficulty by 1. So at this point, the Bonaventure kicks in its awesome hot rod engines and starts doing evasive maneuvers. So probably what I'm picturing is you got the 2 ships in front of you. You were hit from the back. There was this massive hit. Your weapons go offline. Immediately, Marcus just kind of tilts the ship and flies it through the 2 ships that are ahead of you as one of them spins around and tries to lock on their tractor beam. Thank you. Jeez. That is no successes. They are going to be assisted by their ship for a single success. They do not get the tractor beam at you. The 3rd ship is about to go. Roll a d6. Oh, geez.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah. So one of the ships, as you're passing by, backs off a little bit, very pragmatically, fires a tractor beam, doesn't want to escalate things, but definitely wants to slow you down and get you under control. That doesn't seem to work due to Marcus's flying. The 3rd one, you swear that they almost turn around to ram you into your nacelle, and at the last minute just fire and bank. Almost as though somebody pulled somebody off of the controls.
I like this one. This is my favorite of the ships.
Yeah, Kieran was on that ship.
That is
I
a single
hijacked it.
success and another 2 successes. That is a successful hit. So they are going to roll their 6 challenge dice for the disruptor array. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 points of damage that are done to your nacelle, which drops your shields from 7. Oh my goodness gracious.
No,
You have 5
we have
resistance,
5
I think.
resistance.
You're right. Right. 5 resistance. That drops it from, what was it, at 8? So 3 points of damage to your shields, dropping your shields from 7 to 4. And you do not take a breach. For a second there, I thought you just took 2 more breaches. Because you would have taken 1 for taking
We
more
would
than
have been
5,
like-
and then another for dropping your shields.
And then we would have been 1 breach away from
Not
being
necessarily.
destroyed.
You got plot armor.
Well, no.
You got mechanical plot
Oh,
armor.
fair.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Anyways, it's hard to blow up ships run by PC. Very hard. Like you have to target their structure or warp core and then do multiple breaches to that system in order to make it blow up. But if you spread the breaches around, your ship can take a shit kicking and be useless, but you can still technically keep running. Yeah.
That's
But
fair.
the quick and easy breach rolls for opposing starships mean that they get blown up a lot quicker.
That's probably good for us.
All right. Second round. They're going to have to go through 2 more rounds of 3. So the first ship, why doesn't someone roll a d6?
I got
Someone
it.
hitting it.
That ship cloaks.
I love this erratic behavior. This is
The
fantastic.
next ship, somebody roll a d6.
Got it.
5 is a good number to roll, just FYI.
You are being hailed.
Great.
You
On
see
screen.
a female Novatine say, "Listen, we didn't want to fight anyways. I don't know why you're attacking us, but I'm sure you have a very good reason. Why don't we just try to talk this out?"
That sounds like an
All
excellent
right,
idea.
I'm going to patch through to Captain Vimarco, and they split screen, and Vimarco's standing there like screaming at somebody, and he just suddenly looks up. "What are you doing?"
We were hoping to establish a dialogue and end
Why don't
hostilities.
you go ahead and make a presence plus command roll? It's going to be a difficulty 3.
Presence plus command. I would argue
Yeah.
that this is diplomacy.
And I would add, give him
You have
threat.
5
the-
momentum.
Yeah.
Or
Get
we have lots of momentum. Yeah, use momentum.
How much
Get
momentum?
Use
another die.
momentum.
Yeah.
Okay.
2 more dies. 3.
3 momentum.
Okay, so how many dice am I using
4
total?
total. You
4
are gonna
total?
roll. Yeah.
Okay. Lookable focus, yes.
No.
Oh! Well,
You do get 3 successes and a complication. And since you've already spent
we cannot
momentum on this
remove.
roll, you cannot remove that
Nope.
complication on the scene. Roll a d6.
okay.
6 is a good one to roll.
Okay, so Vimarco's ship completely uncloaks. He says, "You know what? I think that's reasonable. We should talk this out." He decloaks and drops his shields. The other ship goes to high warp.
Captain, they seem to be behaving rather erratically.
So, let's talk this out. Why don't you come over to my ship? Pat.
Captain, I would advise against
Oh,
such a
I'm
course
sorry.
of action.
And he orders
I
the
would
other
second
ship to
that.
drop its shield. And decloak. Or it isn't cloak. It drops his shield. Combat is officially over right now.
Under the circumstances, I feel that going
Should come
over
here.
to parlay with them would be appropriate. And given the volatility that they have already expressed, I think that trying to negotiate the terms of a negotiation at this point would not be useful. So I agree to go over to their ship.
I will
Captain,
await
I would
your away
like
team.
to
And
go over.
screen goes off.
Captain, I would like to lead this away team. I think your presence on the Bonaventure may be necessary.
I second that, Captain. The erratic actions of these people have. There's no guarantee that of your safety.
All right. Kirid, assemble yourself an away team and head over to the lead ship.
Xandra would like to get weapons online.
I mean, now that you're out of combat, you have time to.
Easy to do. Okay.
get
Just want to make
fixing.
sure.
All right. Who are you taking on this
Um,
away mission?
This is what's tricky because many of the senior staff, I think, they're much more important to have on the bridge. I think that he would take the doctor specifically because of her they seem to be behaving erratically, and if that is some sort of psychological disorder, he would be the most experienced person to diagnose that. As well as I'm taking security detail as well. I think all the other members of the major staff are too vital to have on the bridge should they suddenly go to high warp with me on board, or things like that, to have the Bonaventure crewed by capable staff when we're short-staffed as it is.
So who are you
It's
taking
important.
over?
The doctor and two members of the security detail. I could take Zick over.
No, take the two cannon fodder.
Take the two cannon fodder. All right, I'm taking
Okay.
the two.
They can die.
The two cannon fodder is their names.
Based on what we know, does Dr. Bassa know? I know that they're Vulcan and they have none of the things to combat what they're going through emotionally. Do I have any knowledge on something I can bring over already prepared rather than do things on the fly?
I mean, what your knowledge of Vulcan culture, physiology, and psychology is that essentially the emotional control that Vulcans achieve over their emotions takes a lifetime of mastery. There is no pill or hypo spray that can be taken to deal with that. The Romulans have the same things, but they are given focus in service to the Empire and their family, and kind of channeling all that aggression on stuff. But
Right.
without those fetters, without those kind of anchors to fetter the emotions of these Vulcanoids, it's impossible to predict what they're going to do one second to another.
I let the captain know everything I know, and I suggest that we do not go over to the ship because it is not fruitful. I suggest we ask them to come over to us. Be made just medically based. Like less of them, more of us.
And do we have a way to present that to our volatile friends that in such a way that says something other than "we don't trust you"?
Leading the conversation with "hello, volatile friends" probably won't help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Skip that line.
Maybe just tell them we have everything prepared for them, and you're awaiting their communication about when they're about to beam over.
Well,
It might work.
it could also anger them and leave them not wanting to talk at all.
Yeah.
You may also want to be ready to put shields up.
My medical opinion on the situation.
Your medical opinion is noted. I would like Kirid to proceed with the away mission.
Very well.
If you are uncomfortable attending, Doctor, I could bring Zick.
I wouldn't put someone else in that position that I'm not comfortable in. I'll go.
So that will
All right.
require you to drop your shields in order to beam over.
They've dropped theirs.
They've dropped.
Be
That is
ready to
true.
put them up at a moment's notice, but we need to operate as if this is their intent.
Let's go ahead and drop shields.
All right.
So you drop shields and beam over. Somebody roll a d6.
Shit.
I don't want to do it.
No, I'll do it.
Okay, you guys materialize in front of Captain Vimarco, and they look at you and say, "Listen, I've been given this a lot. We clearly bloodied your nose, but we know you can't outrun you, and the chances of us being able to outfight you are pretty slim. I guess, what are your terms?" Now keep in mind that I'm not afraid of fighting. I just
You've proven yourself in
I've
that.
got a lot of people to think about here.
and so do we. And our goal is to form peaceful relations. So this is welcome from our end. Our terms are that we can set up a communication between us regarding the events of what happened to the freighter. I can't remember its name. Seraph or something like that. Dasifit. As well as to further discuss your people and what you are doing here.
Well, listen, before we start talking about whatever freighter you may or may not be talking about, what do you think you'll end up having to do to people that might have had to attack something? Allegedly.
What would Starfleet protocols dictate in this situation if they were found guilty?
This is piracy, right? It's a high crime. So they'd be taken into normally they'd be taken into custody. They would be tried. The jurisdiction that they fall under would be clearly identified, and then they would face justice under those jurisdictions.
All right, yeah, you would face a trial for the actions committed, and whether you would be convicted or acquitted is up to that trial.
All right, here's what I'm going to do. Roll a d6.
Is that what he says to me? I mean, I have one on my person.
I left it in my quarters.
No, I bring it with me everywhere.
You know what? That sounds phenomenal. I think it's great. Why don't we do that? I think, it's... I couldn't picture a better outcome, really. I thought that we'd have to kill each other out here, honestly.
So Kieran's going to glance over at the doctor at this point, because this is... What are the emotions he's getting off of this individual?
Happy. He finds the whole situation humorous. It's so funny. What a weird set of circumstances to bring us to this moment. Oh, jeez. A second
Kieran looks
ago,
very
he was
uncomfortable.
very thoughtful and pragmatic. And that emotional change just happened at the drop of a hat.
Captain, if you would accompany us back to our ship so you can discuss further terms with our captain.
Yeah. All right, everyone, follow me. We're transporting over to the Federation ship. I suppose you probably don't want me to take this bandolier of disruptor grenades, eh? And everyone else starts laughing as well.
I love these people.
They start disarming and handing disruptors off to people.
Okay, let's get them out of here as soon as possible before he changes his mind.
They start transporting from the two ships. The other ship is communicated with and comes back. They start transporting over. The ships leave a skeleton crew. They can be docked in your shuttle bay. This all happens super efficiently, super quickly, and the whole time they're cracking jokes. They're excited. Vulcans, have low-grade telepathic abilities that they hone through extreme strength of will and mental discipline over a lifetime, which allows them to do things like mind melds and things of this nature. This seems to be having an effect on the Novatines in that their volatile nature and emotional state, it seems to be shared by the people in their immediate area.
All Novatines, or
no,
amongst
just among
other
the
species?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, good.
Captain,
So-
I would escort these individuals into custody as quickly as possible.
All right. Let's do so. Do we have sufficient room
So
in the
these are
brig?
crewed by about a dozen each. The brig is going to be stuffed to overflowing, but based on their volatile behavior, like Xandra heavily advises that you just cram them in the freaking brig.
Let's cram them in the brig, and we can work out alternate accommodations.
I'm going to supervise the removal of weapons they disarmed on their ships. I'm going to gather up the weapons and have them transported over to the Bonaventure at a different
It just
location
takes a
than the
little
rest
bit
of
of
them are
time
going.
as like the three raiders get docked in your shuttle bay, and the weapons are gathered up, and so on. A search of their ship shows a whole bunch of contraband, which includes the atmospheric stabilizers. You have everything. The second they force
Let's get
fields
out of
come
here.
up on the brig, however, roll a d6.
You do that, Captain. Question though, you said one of them
Not
went
back
to
yet,
high
but
warp.
it does come back.
Yeah.
They communicate and I convince
Okay, it
them
was
to come
called back.
That's the one they call back.
So
Yep.
I want to roll a d6.
I don't think you want to, but I think you have to at this point.
The security officers in there, they were reporting about every 10 minutes as to the condition of the Novatine, and they tell you that right now the Novatine have spent the last 10 minutes personally apologizing for all the trouble they've caused.
That's nice.
All right. All right, we need to get out of here because if there's a bigger ship around.
And Captain, the further negotiations and the bringing of these individuals to trial is under your jurisdiction.
So you can spin the Bonaventure around, hit cruising speed, and head back to Castores. You have prisoners, you have the
Yes.
atmospheric stabilizers, got everything.
We got everything.
We have their ships. Like,
What could go wrong?
Yeah.
Let's plot a course back to Castoria. Maximum warp.
Okay. I
Don't
sir.
want to take the
Hey,
chance that we might
Dizrak
be
does
overcome.
say that you have plenty
sir.
of power to be able to keep up maximum warp on the way to Castoria, but if you encounter anything big near the kind of latter third of that trip, you'll be low on power. Just FYI.
I still think it's good. I still think
Yeah.
it's worth it.
But I mean,
Let's
cannot
do
stress
that.
this enough. Like, at high warp, nothing in this sector can catch you. Like, the only thing that comes close or is possibly faster than you is out of Narandra Station. There's an Intrepid class starship that's based there that is probably as fast or maybe even faster than the Bonaventure. But the Bonaventure is just a hot rod. So, we're coming close to our time to end. So why don't we do that? And next time when we go live, you guys can do the fun task of following Starfleet protocol in these matters. All you have to do is decide what jurisdiction they're under and hand them over to the proper authority. No problem.
Sounds great.
I'm sure there will be
Okay.
no issues here.
Yeah, this will be easy.